We are about to show you for the very first time, a world-exclusive interview with Lon Snowden, the father of Ed Snowden, who blew the whistle on the NSA snooping scandal. Lon Snowden reached out to someone in D.C. whom he trusted, and that person happens to trust me. After days of talking, emailing, and texting with Mr. Snowden, he agreed to sit down and talk. What follows is a man deeply concerned with the safety of his son and a man deeply concerned with the direction America is heading. Lon Snowden. First, I think people want to know, have you spoken to Ed?
No. The last time that I saw Ed was on April 4th in the shadow of the National Security Agency. We'd gone out to dinner. He seemed to be carrying a heavy burden. I was concerned about him. I shared that after I came home. But we hugged, as we always do. He said, "I love you, Dad." I said, "I love you, Ed." And I expected to see him again.
Tell us a little bit about Ed. People would like to hear about Ed. People want to know, what's he like?
He is a sensitive, caring young man. This is the Ed that I know. You know, the same eyes, it's the same Ed. He is a deep thinker. He was raised to be principled. He knows the difference between what is just and unjust and right and wrong. He cares for all people.
So yesterday was Father's Day. Probably one of the few Father's Days you haven't spoken to Ed. Tell me, how was that?
Difficult, but the last 7 days have been extremely difficult. It's gone from not knowing where my son was. I thought he was missing, and then the news broke on Sunday, which just shocked everyone in the family that he was the NSA leak.
What do you want him to do? What should he do?
I would like to see Ed come home and face this.
If he did come back, what would you say to him?
I would tell him to be truthful, to be honest.
In your opinion, do you think he's approached the line? What has he done?
You know, I'm not an attorney. I can't speak to that. What I know is someone who served my nation for over 30 years honorably, and I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. That's not something that I could have done, but I'm not in Ed's shoes. I don't know what he has seen, what he has been exposed to, but I know he is a principled young man. I know what he walked away from. I know how he feels about his family and what he knows that this would have done to his family with all of the media frenzy. Forget that. Simply what not knowing how he's doing, he knows how that would hurt his family. So I can't imagine what drove him to do this in terms of, has he broken a law? I can't answer that. That's why we have courts. That's why we have trials. That's why we have a justice system. That's why we have a U.S. Constitution that protects our rights.
Why do you think he did it the way he did it?
I think he did it because, again, he saw something that, as a father, I have to believe constituted a moral hazard. He had an obligation to protect classified information. But my son is also very intelligent, very well read, obviously very well aware of what he believes to be the tenets of the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights, specifically the Fourth Amendment.
There have been a lot of people who've said that the NSA was violating the Fourth Amendment. Your thoughts?
I don't want the government listening to my phone calls. I don't want the government archiving the places that my other children visit on the internet or that I visit or my wife visits. I don't want them reading my email. I don't want them reading my text. In my opinion, they have no right. Not even under the guise of we need to keep you safe. Some people are suggesting that what's occurring is very similar to every morning the government walks up to your mailbox or afternoon. They pull the envelopes out. They open them. They look at your mail. They copy it. They archive it in case they want to look at it sometime in the future, in case you do something wrong sometime in the future. They reseal the envelopes, they put them back in your mailbox, and they do it every day over and over and over again.
Ed had said he may release more information. What should he do?
Don't. That concerns me.
Do you think that with the information that he has, do you think that puts him in peril?
Absolutely. I think it puts him in peril from a foreign government, from opportunists, and in my opinion, clearly from our government as well. All you have to do is watch the political discourse at this point, and I would say he is certainly in peril.
Why don't you take a look in the camera, speak directly to Ed. What do you want to tell him? What should he do? What does Dad say to Ed?
We're certainly saddened by your decision, but it has not diminished our love for you. You know, if I saw you tomorrow, the first thing I would do is hug you and tell you I love you. My primary concern at this point in time is your immediate safety and your long-term health. I hope, I pray, and I ask that you will not release any secrets that could constitute treason, that you consider what you're doing, that you consider those around you who you may consider friends or good counsel. I sense that you're under much stress from what I've read recently, and that you not succumb to that stress and make a bad decision. Ed, I love you. I love you, and I wish you the best. I want you to come home.
This is Fox News Alert. Here's more of my exclusive interview with Lon Snowden, father of NSA leaker Edward Snowden. I asked him a simple question. Does he want Edward to come home, even if it means he may spend years in prison? If Ed coming back meant jail time, you still want him to come back?
If that's, you know, I have faith in our justice system applied correctly, absolutely. You know, I would rather my son be a prisoner in the U.S. than a free man in a country that did not have, again, the freedoms that are protected that we have. The U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights, that's what defines, that's what makes America, America. And every serviceman or woman who has ever served this nation, given their life for this nation, that's the oath. That's the first line of their job description, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And that's where I would prefer that my son be. Yes, absolutely.
Any thoughts on why he picked Hong Kong and or China to go to?
You know, I was asked that question by the government, and I can't answer that, but I just believe it's a place that he was comfortable with, and I don't believe he chose it by accident.